What is Linux? What is an operating system? What is a kernel? If you want to understand Linux, you need to understand three things. What is an operating system, what is a kernel, and what is Linux? Most beginners confuse these ideas. So in this video, I will explain them in a simple way. First, what is an operating system? An operating system, or OS, is the software that manages your computer. It sits between your hardware and your applications. Your hardware includes CPU, memory, disk. Your applications include browser, editor, games. Without an operating system, your computer cannot run programs. You can think of it like this: applications talk to the operating system, and the operating system talks to the hardware. Now, let's go deeper. What is a kernel? The kernel is the core part of the operating system. It is the most important component. In fact, it is the part that actually controls everything. The kernel sits between applications and hardware. Applications do not access hardware directly. They go through the kernel. Why is this necessary? Because hardware is complex. Different computers have different CPUs, different disks, different devices. If every program had to handle hardware directly, software would be extremely difficult to build. The kernel solves this problem. It provides a standard way for programs to interact with hardware. The kernel also has important responsibilities. It manages CPU usage. It controls memory. It handles input and output. It also protects the system. For example, one program cannot access another program's memory. This prevents crashes and improves security. In real systems, the kernel controls everything. Applications only request services. The kernel decides what actually happens. Now, let's talk about Linux. Most people say Linux is an operating system. But this is not completely correct. Linux is actually a kernel. So when people say, I use Linux, they usually mean, I use a Linux distribution. A Linux distribution includes the Linux kernel, system tools, package manager, and applications. So what are Ubuntu, Debian, or CentOS? These are called Linux distributions. Why does this matter? Because understanding this structure helps you understand how systems really work. If something goes wrong, the problem is usually between the application, the kernel, and the hardware. So let's summarize: an operating system manages your computer. The kernel is the core of the OS. The kernel connects software and hardware. Linux is a kernel. And a Linux distribution is what you actually use. Now you understand the basics. In the next video, we will go deeper into Linux.